We both know why you're here. You have a deadline, but instead of working, you're watching a video about why you're not working. It's meta. It's exhausting. And let's be honest, we're doing it too. Welcome to Productive Procrastination. This isn't standard laziness. This is high-effort avoidance. It's the art of doing 1,000 useful things to avoid the one vital task that actually scares you. You aren't lazy. You're just busy running away. Let's break down the 7 ways we lie to our calendars, counting down to the one truth that's going to make you want to throw your laptop into a lake. Number 7. The Clean Slate Syndrome. You finally cleared an hour. This is it. The big project starts now. But as you sit down, you realize the desk is dusty. Not ruined dusty, but I can't possibly be expected to think in this filth dusty. So you grab a wipe. But then you see the junk drawer. It's looking a little chaotic, isn't it? If the drawer is messy, your mind is messy. Better organize the batteries by size. This is the Clean Slate Syndrome. It's the persistent, nagging lie that you need a perfect, sterilized environment before you can perform a single, meaningful task. It feels like work because, honestly, cleaning the baseboards with a toothbrush is exhausting. Your back hurts. You've used a whole bottle of bleach. You feel like a hero of domesticity. But let's be real for a second. The dust on your monitor isn't the reason you haven't started your business plan. You're just using a mop as a physical shield between your hands and the keyboard. You're seeking clarity through Windex because clarity is terrifying. It's a very clean, very shiny way to fail at your actual goals. You've spent 3 hours preparing to work, and now you're too tired to actually do it. Mission accomplished. Number 6. The research rabbit hole. This one is for the intellectuals. You aren't avoiding the task. You're gathering essential data. You need to know which microphone is best for a podcast you haven't even named yet. You need to watch 17 day-in-the-life videos of people who already do the job you're afraid to start. You've got 42 tabs open, and you're currently reading a deep dive on the history of the font Helvetica. Because, hey, branding is important, right? The research rabbit hole is the ultimate smart procrastination because it's disguised as education. We tell ourselves that we're being responsible, we're mitigating risk, but in reality, we're just drowning ourselves in information so we don't have to face the terrifying silence of a blank page. You've convinced yourself that if you just read one more article or watch one more tutorial, you'll finally feel ready. Spoiler alert, you won't. You don't need more data, you need more courage. But data is safe. Data doesn't judge you. So you keep scrolling, convincing yourself that preparation is the same thing as progress. It's not. It's just a library-flavored panic attack. Number 5. The administrative trap. This is what we call work about work, and it's the most socially acceptable way to waste your entire life. This is the person who spends 4 hours color-coding a digital calendar, but has no actual events to put on it. It's the person who reorganizes their Google Drive folders for the 3rd time this week. It's the inbox zero warrior who thinks that replying to 35 emails is a productive morning. The administrative trap is dangerous because it looks exactly like a successful career. You're clicking things, you're sending things, you're optimizing workflows. Your brain is getting a massive dopamine hit every time you check a minor task off that list. Look at me, I'm a professional. I renamed all the PDFs. But none of those PDFs move the needle. You're treading water in the deep end of the pool, working twice as hard just to stay in the exact same spot. You're playing office to avoid the actual job. By 5 p.m., you're legitimately drained, which gives you the perfect excuse to ignore the big, scary project until tomorrow. It's a cycle of busyness that produces nothing but exhaustion and a very organized folder of failures. Number 4. The skill acquisition myth. I just need one more certification. I can't start my YouTube channel until I master color grading. This is the myth that you are a level 1-inch character who isn't allowed to enter the dungeon yet. We treat our goals like a video game, where we have to grind for XP in a safe starting zone before we can face the boss. But the real world doesn't work like that. In the real world, the only way to get to level 10 is to walk into the dungeon at level 1 and get your teeth kicked in until you learn how to dodge. We use learning as a shield to stay in the safety of the classroom. As long as you're a student, you're protected. You can't be a failure because you're just in training. You're paying for courses, buying the books, and attending the webinars as a way to delay the inevitable moment where you have to actually put your reputation on the line. It's a comfortable, cozy place to hide, but eventually the school bell rings and the world asks you what you actually made. And I learned a lot isn't an answer that pays the rent. Number 3, the small wins addiction. You have one giant task that requires 6 hours of intense focus. And then you have 10 tiny, meaningless tasks that take 5 minutes each. You choose the 10 tiny tasks every single time. Why? Because your brain is a cheap dopamine junkie. Checking a box releases a chemical reward, and your brain doesn't care if the box you checked was solve the energy crisis or buy more staples. By the time you finish the 10 tiny things, you've convinced yourself that you've worked enough for the day. You've successfully buried the important work under a pile of trivia. You are winning the battle of the to-do list, but you are losing the war for your future. This is the productivity paradox. The more small things you do, the less energy you have for the one big thing that actually matters. You're choosing the comfort of a done list over the vulnerability of a started project. You're getting small wins to distract yourself from the big loss you're afraid of taking. Number 2, fear of the finish line. This is the weirdest one of them all. Sometimes we stay busy because we are actually terrified of finishing. Because as long as a project is in progress, it can still be perfect. In your head, that unwritten novel is a masterpiece. It's perfect because it's a ghost, but the moment you finish it, it becomes real. And real things have flaws. Real things can be critiqued. Real things can be rejected by the market or laughed at by your peers. So you find 100 tiny productive ways to tweak the margins or rethink the strategy. You aren't being a perfectionist. You're just a hostage taker. You're keeping your own work prisoner, so it never has to face the judgment of the outside world. You're polishing it until it disappears, just so you never have to hear the word no. Finishing isn't the goal. Staying busy is the goal, because busy is a valid excuse for why you haven't succeeded yet. We know, this is heavy. It's a lot to process while you're sitting there in your pajamas. But identifying these patterns is the only way to break them. If this exhausted perspective is helping you see through your own nonsense, please consider subscribing. It really helps us keep these deep dives going. Now let's get to the most brutal, ego-shattering reason of them all. Number 1, the ego buffer. This is the ultimate psychological defense mechanism. It's the logic that says, if I fail because I was too busy with other responsibilities, it's not because I'm not talented. This is the ego buffer. We intentionally sabotage our own focus so that we always have a built-in out if things go wrong. If you give that project 100% of your effort and you still fail, then what? Then it means your best wasn't good enough. And that is a thought your ego cannot survive. So you stay busy, you stay distracted, you stay productive on everything except the one thing that defines you. That way, when the deadline passes, you can shrug and say, oh, I just had too much on my plate. It's a protective layer of bubble wrap around your self-worth, but it's also a coffin for your potential. The exit strategy. So what's the move? You've reached the end of the video. The excuses have been dismantled. Now comes the part that most people won't do. Close this tab. No, seriously. Don't look at the next video. Don't check your notifications. Pick the one task that makes your stomach turn. The one you've been burying under a mountain of useful distractions. Set a timer for 20 minutes. Don't try to be a genius. Just be a person who does the thing poorly for 20 minutes. The only way to stop being busy lazy is to start being messy productive. You've been busy being lazy long enough. It's time to actually do the work. Go. Right now.